Hey folks, today we are taking a look at Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Deluxe Class Smokescreen. Now this is the first show-accurate Smokescreen figure we are getting for the Transformers Prime line. Smokescreen did appear in Season 2 and is the plucky upstart of the Autobots. And when you're making Bumblebee look seasoned, yeah, you're going to get yourself in some trouble. So as you can see, the figure does come with this weird armor that really doesn't cover anything, and he also comes with a gun that has a missile that is attached to a very soft rubbery net. I don't think this is going to stop the Predacon. So the one thing I do like is the net is completely removable, so you could just take the net off and just have your missile with its gun. So we'll put that off to the side. Also, that is something that is detachable is this little armor piece. It just pops right off. It is pegged onto these two hinges on his hips, and this piece comes right off. And this super floppy plastic. I mean, you cannot get any floppier than this. So Smokescreen in robot mode looks good. He looks really darn good. Smokescreen's head sculpt is 100% accurate to the show. Very nice looking, very well molded. The paint is a little bit I don't want to be too negative about it because they did do a very good job, but the paint is bleeding in some spots and not fully painted in others. It's not the best job. Plus, I think I just need to take a Sharpie and actually color in the mouth, the smile there. That would be a definite improvement. He does have light piping on the back of the head. It is amber, but it only goes through his eyes and oddly on the side of his neck. It's a very weird effect if you pull it off right. The robot mode on the whole is pretty good looking, and without the extra stuff, he's pretty darn cool. From the back, he does sport quite a bit of vehicle kibble, the doors and the hood here on the back of the arms, and then the legs. It's not that bad, though. If you're looking at the figure from the front, he's fine. Yes, the forearms do have quite a bit of kibble, specifically the roof, the front windscreen, and the entire hood of the car. Not that big a deal, though. However, his posability, while good, there is a major issue, which we'll get into. Head, ball joint, or I'm sorry, it's on a swivel-ish joint, so posability there. Shoulders are on a ball joint with a hinge in there, part of the transformation. The shoulder pads are movable. Ratcheting hinge at the elbow. Fists do not move. Torso does rotate. Feet are on hinges, part of the transformation again. Knees, hinges. Hips, there's a swivel underneath the hip at the upper thigh, and then the actual hip itself is on a ball joint. However, a little too loose for my taste, and it's just a problem that I keep running into with Transformers from Hasbro. I'm going to have to do some work on these hip ball joints because they are far too loose for my liking. When you're posing the figure, his own weight will cause him to fall backwards like that. And just me moving it side to side, he is falling just a little bit. And you can actually, there he stopped. But it is a problem. Now, yes, I do realize there is quite a bit of weight on the arms, but the figure shouldn't do that. And just moving it back and forth, I mean, limbo Smokescreen. Yeah. Okay, so otherwise, robot mode's pretty good, holds together pretty well, looks good. A+ job in the robot mode, Hasbro. Smokescreen's transformation is much more complex than any of the other Deluxe class figures in Wave 2. So, to really explain this, it's a lot of twisting and turning. In fact, the torso is where the bulk of the transformation occurs, while the legs are very easy. So we'll actually start with the legs. To start off with, take the shins and fold them out or fold them to the inside of the legs. And then kind of just move the feet up. And as you do that, the shins will rotate to the back of the legs like this. So you can see the shins are back here. That will give you room to fold the feet up into the back part of the vehicle and then fold they're not really heels, but these back panels down. And then you can combine the legs together. Now, what I have discovered, and I've discovered this thanks to some of the other reviewers who got it before I did, when you transform Smokescreen, be sure to just kind of push the legs down a little bit so that they're angled away from the body. Then take the torso and rotate it completely around. Now you will see that Smokescreen has the single plastic pin swivel that Cliffjumper had. That will come off, or that can come off. Mine has not broken yet, but I know some people that have had that issue. So next for the transformation, we're going to take the chest and just fold it down, not folding it down all the way quite yet. Then we reach behind the head of the figure and unpeg the doors. And at this point, we can fold the windshield, not the windshield, the windows up. So take the head and then fold that back along the, fold that into the back, but not all the way, or you won't be able to yet. Take the, sorry if you hear meowing, that is my cat being an idiot. Take these shoulder pads and unfold them and kind of bring them up. And you won't be able to bring them up all the way until you pull the wheels out from inside the chest. When you do that, then you will be able to bring these sections up and around into place, and they will peg in together. Take the head, and if you have the clearance, fold the head far back as you can. Then take the wheels and rotate them around so that the wheels are pointing, the outside of the wheels are pointing to the front of the, or I'm sorry, to the rear wheels. And this is where things start to get a little crazy. So, again, fold the legs down away from the body. That will allow you to fold the arms in like that with the wheels, and then you can take these doors and push them into place. When you do that, as you can see, we can now push the head all the way into the car mode. Now, this is where things get a little weird, if they haven't already. This pin that's attached to the wheels, we're going to want to fold that all the way in. Do that on this side as well. And then turn it such that the elbow is completely bendable. So we want the palms kind of facing out. And this is where you just kind of have to start brute forcing things, because this is a tough transformation, I'm not going to lie. And it is especially tough when the ball joints on the arms are not strong enough to really support the rest of the transformation. And this is not easy. And I've already popped the ball joint again. So excuse me while I scream in fury. Alright, now that I have screamed in fury and been given strange looks by the cats, you're going to want to end up with something like this, where the palms are pointing out towards the outside of the vehicle. Then you can line up the pegs on the windshields and peg them into the roof of the car. Fold the hood of the car down, and sometimes it'll snap into place easy, sometimes not. Once you do that, you can then fold the rear of the vehicle up and just get everything into place, and then fold this one last little piece up. And unfortunately, no matter how many times I've done this, not everything snaps into place exactly the way you want it. Now, that's probably my fault, but what you end up with is a pretty good-looking car mode. I like this car mode. The car mode itself is definitely a sports car, and it just looks like it's going to go fast. It's even an homage to the original Smokescreen character from G1, in that he has a little 38 on the side. It's a very nice looking vehicle mode. It is a pain in the butt in order to get him into vehicle mode, especially if you haven't if you got him, had him on your shelf for a couple of months, and then went to transform him. It's kind of infuriating, and there's not a lot of clearance. Another thing that I have a little bit of an issue with is the paint. Again, this is another issue of the plastics not being the same color, specifically on the roof. I'm not sure how well this is showing up on camera, and it's not showing up that well on camera for me, but this piece right here is a different color than this piece. And these roof sections are a completely different color than the rest of the body. I just wish Hasbro would, I don't know, somehow get all their paint to actually be the same. So you can also add the armor to this mode as well, even though it looks kind of weird. In order to add the armor, first you need to find the attach points, and they're going to be right here underneath the 8 on the one side and under the 3 on the driver's side. So take your armor and just flop it on, get it pegged, not pegged, but fit the rear view mirrors or the side mirrors underneath and just peg it in. Now, they actually gave you plenty of clearance to peg it in, and it does hold on pretty well. It is a little bit annoying, but it does look good, and it adds a nice Beast Hunters-esque look to the vehicle mode. You can then attach the gun on the top of the vehicle. Unfortunately, there are no other weapon holders or weapon holes on this vehicle mode. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there are. They're on the back here on the spoiler. Durr. Sorry about that. So yeah, you can add other weapons on the back. The number shall be 3. The net can be attached back to the missile. I prefer to leave the net off. I just don't care for the net. It doesn't really add anything. This makes it look more like a harpoon gun, which I like a lot better. Overall, the vehicle mode is nice. It looks good, and it's a nice addition to the Beast Hunters line. Kind of wish there was a little bit of molding instead of armor, but I understand why the armor is removable. This thing would be a nightmare to transform if the armor, or if there was molding like this on the actual figure. Plus, we've never gotten a Smokescreen figure before, so just a cheap piece of plastic added as armor works a lot better. While I like Smokescreen as a character on the show, and I like the figure, it's not bad. It's just infuriating. It's a pain to transform, and it's not much fun to transform. And that's probably my biggest problem with it. It's just not a fun figure to play with. The loose hips really, really annoy me as well. Now, I don't know if anybody else has had that problem. I seem to be able to just find figures with really poor quality control. That just seems to be an innate ability of mine. But whatever. Now, compared to the other 3, how does he stack up? He's a good figure. He's actually a pretty good figure. He's not the best figure in the world, but I'm glad I have him. I picked this guy up at bbts.com, bigbadtoystore.com, and you can too. I believe he's still available for purchase, but you might be better off in getting the set of 4 figures. That's how I got a hold of him, and yeah, you wind up with 3 other really good figures as well, and no repaints or no remolds or anything. They're all new molds. So I would recommend picking it up there, or picking up that 4-pack. The link to that pack is in the description. So Smokescreen is a good attempt. It is aggravating. There are some issues, but I think he is definitely worth having in your collection, especially if you've got to have at least one figure or one toy of every character in the show.